This video is made possible by donations to the United States Lighthouse Society from people like you. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight for our preview of the upcoming tour in France, which is going to be really exciting. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm Jeremy D'Entremont. I'm the historian for the US Lighthouse Society. I host the Society's podcast, Lighthearted, and we have two other people who are helping me do this event tonight. I'll just mention before I introduce Wanda and Margie, our executive director, Jeff Gales, was planning to join us. Unfortunately, he's a little bit under the weather tonight. He did send along a couple of facts about France that I do want to read shortly, but Jeff is not able to join us tonight. So let me just say that the tours, and I know a lot of you here have done U.S. Lighthouse Society tours, but the domestic and international tours, there are several tours each year. They've been one of the most popular activities of the Society since it started 40 years ago, and they're a really important part of how the Society raises funds to support the lighthouse preservation and education. So the tours are a lot of fun and very important. So at this point, well, I'll just say one more thing before I introduce Wanda and Margie. I will be taking part in the France tour. I'm really looking forward to it. I've done U.S. Lighthouse Society tours to England, Scotland, and Ireland, and Margie, of course, was on the Ireland tour. That was amazing. I've always wanted to go to France. This will be my first time. I'll be representing the USLHS, maybe helping with some lighthouse history along the way, a few facts here and there, and helping with luggage, maybe fetching coffee, whatever Wanda and Marge, or the other tour leader, need me to do. I'm happy to do it. So at this point, let me introduce Wanda Mayo, who is one of the two tour leaders on this tour. And Wanda, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Well, bonjour, everybody. I'm a Southern girl from Pensacola, up in the Northwest Panhandle of Florida. So what little bit of French that I speak is very Southern, I hate to say, but it will probably horrify our French guide.
Francophiles.
Yes. Yeah. But I'm very excited about co-leading this trip to the south of France with Marge Zopp. In fact, this is our second trip to France with the Society. The first one covered the Brittany coast and the Channel Islands back in 2018. And speaking of Society trips, my very first trip was to Maine in 2009. And I got bitten by the lighthouse bug. And I've been around the States and around the world with the Society on 17 other tours. And you know, every year it's kind of hard to pick and choose, since I would really love to go on all the tours, but can't do that. But needless to say, I'm pretty enamored with the Society, and I've met some wonderful friends along the Lighthouse Trail. So I'm really looking forward to seeing many of them on this trip and making more friends. And as we like to say around here in Mardi Gras country, laissez les bons temps rouler.
Excellent. Thank you, Wanda. And I'll just, since you mentioned it, I'll just say that I just want to ask for forgiveness in advance for my French pronunciations as well. So, you know, my 4 years of high school French were a long time ago. So I'm going to do my best, but if I don't say things correctly, pardonnez-moi. So Margie Rowland, of course, you've been extremely involved in running the USLHS tours for a number of years now, and you are out there in Washington State, the opposite side of the country from me. But Margie, do you want to say a little bit more about yourself?
Well, I'll be talking more at the end about the upcoming tours for 2026 to give everybody a preview of that. But I'll let you and Wanda present this wonderful tour of France.
Thank you. Thank you, Margie. And of course, you've been involved in the planning of this tour. I'll just say I have not been involved in the planning of the itinerary for this tour. So actually putting this together for tonight has been a good way for me to learn more about the itinerary and get a much more of a up close feel for it. So it's been really good in that way too. So this event, I'm going to go to the presentation in a moment here, but things are pretty loosely structured here. We just, we've been putting this together lately and just doing finishing touches on it about a minute before we let you guys in. So it's loosely structured, and I'll be doing the presentation, but Wanda and Margie will join in wherever they see fit. And so again, Wanda, just again, please interrupt me if I'm not pausing for you to say what you want to say. And we'll have Q&A after the presentation, and also this is being recorded and will be posted on the USLHS YouTube channel within a couple of days in case you want to watch it again or tell your friends. So at this point, let me go to screen sharing. Okay. Wanda, you seeing my screen?
I am.
Good. And now it should be full screen?
Yep.
Okay.
It is.
Great. All right. So let me set the mood here with a little music. There it is. All right. Excellent. I needed to set the mood. I hope you can all hear that. And then if you're anything like me, it'll be stuck in your head for a couple of days after today. So here you see the map of where we'll be going this tour, the south by southwest, south and southwest parts of France along the Mediterranean and up the Bay of Biscay, and then shooting up to Paris at the end of the tour. And the 1,200 plus miles, that's a pretty conservative estimate. I figured out on Google Maps, but I think if you count all the little side trips and everything, it's probably going to be over 2,000 miles. And give or take a lighthouse, about 34 lighthouses on the tour. And here's a list of the lighthouses. I won't go over each one right now, but that's gives you an idea. And you see the map of the locations. Whoop, little abrupt end to the music there. But now I want to play a little video with our tour guide. And Operation Europe, a company the USLHS works with a lot on these tours, especially in Europe, they've been such a great help. And Alex works with them, Alex Patrimonio. He'll be our guide in France. And I'm going to play you a video of him introducing himself and talking about the tour a little bit. This is just a couple of minutes long.
Bonjour. Bonjour, bonjour. I'm going to be your guide for this wonderful tour we're having in beginning of June around Lighthouse in the south of France. So my name is Alex. I've got a master's degree in history of art. I love fauna, flora. I love sharing with you stories about France, about villages, those picturesque villages, those wonderful towns. We're going to cross together. I'm talking about Montpellier, Sète, Marseille, the stunning Carcassonne. Carcassonne, it's like if time have stopped 700 years ago. This tour is unique, and I've done many tours, but this tour is truly special. Why? Because we're going to see a Mediterranean France, then we're crossing the country, we're stopping in Carcassonne, and then we're going to see the Atlantic Ocean. So two different worlds, and then we're finishing in Paris. So it's truly something unique, you know. In 18 days, it's going to be dense, but truly beautiful. I highly, highly recommend it.
Okay. Well, looking forward to.
Okay. Well, folks, we start our adventure in Marseille, which was founded by the Greeks around 600 BC, which makes it the oldest city in France. And it is also the third largest city in France after Paris and Lyon. Marseille also has the most museums in France after Paris. And dominating the city on its high hill is Notre Dame de la Garde, or La Bonne Mère, as the locals call her, the Good Mother. This massive basilica is the best known symbol of the city, and it's a must-see if you can manage the time. Its 135-foot bell tower is topped by a 41-foot belfry, which supports a whopping 37-foot statue of the Madonna and Child. There are a variety of ways to get up there, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful basilica. The old port is the economic heart of town, featuring lots of boats and a private marina, a thriving fish market, dozens of cafes and restaurants, offices, bars, and hotels, all protected by two massive forts. The Palais Longchamp is another must-see monument, which was completed in 1869 to bring drinkable water to the city. From each side of the water reservoir, an open colonnade leads to two museums, the Museum of Fine Arts and the Natural History Museum. There's also an observatory there and a lovely garden and park. Another place to see is the Panier district, which is a charming tangle of cobbled streets lined with colorful facades and flower-filled balconies in the oldest part of town. It's really something of an open-air museum and full of surprises with its street art, artists' studios, boutiques, and cafes. Can't wait to see it.
Me too. Sign me up. Sounds good to me. All right. So that's when we arrive, we'll have the welcome dinner at the hotel in Marseille. And then the next day, day 2, we are doing a cruise to see 5 lighthouses. And the first one is this Sainte Marie, which is, I think, a beautiful old stone tower, 70 feet tall, built in 1855. It's on the south side of the entrance into Marseille's old port. During the course of this, I'm going to show you almost every lighthouse we're seeing, at least show you a picture, maybe add a little bit of information about some of them. So here is the next lighthouse in the cruise, La Désirade, another interesting old stone tower from 1881, 49 feet tall, south side of the harbor entrance. And Chateau d'If, and obviously a very interesting fort where this lighthouse is located. 56 foot, let me try that again, 56-foot stone tower on the fort, 1863. The original lighthouse here was destroyed in World War II, was rebuilt in 1948. And Chateau d'If, this fortress is super interesting. For one thing, it was one of the settings in Alexander Dumas' novel, The Count of Monte Cristo. And I think, Wanda, you might have had something else you want to say about Chateau d'If?
Yes, but I was mistaken. It's actually somewhere else.
Oh, okay. So the thing about the prison was not here. But anyways,
right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It seems like a lot of these forts they used as prisons.
Yes, this one they did, absolutely. Several of the ones we're seeing, I believe. Yeah, this was a prison until the late 19th century. All right. And then, I'm sorry, we're still on the same cruise here. So we see Ile Planier, this kind of obelisk type tower, 216 feet tall. We're going to see a lot of really tall lighthouses on this tour. This one was established way back in 1320. It's been rebuilt a few times, and the third tower here was destroyed in World War II. So this is one of the tallest lighthouses on the Mediterranean. It's on a tiny island off the coast of Marseille. And then Souterrace on the right, it's a 62-foot stone tower. It was originally, from what I've gathered, I believe it was like a day mark, an unlighted tower. Then they added a light to it in 1912. But there's also that tower to the left. It's almost a twin. And from what I've read, that is unlighted. I think that's just like a marker on top of it. I don't think there's actually a light. So it's almost like twin lighthouses there, but one has a light and one doesn't. All right, then let's see that we're getting into the next day here, right? June 7th. Yeah.
Well, our second boat trip, on the next day, our second boat trip is going to carry us to Fort de Bouc, standing on its rock island, and it's surmounted by a medieval square tower with a lighthouse at the top. We'll enter the fort, we get to tour this one, across a drawbridge for a trip back in time. The tower, which stands in the center of the fort, was also used as a prison. This prison had quite a reputation, since the people locked up there by order of the king, usually with no type of trial, almost never left it alive. We'll have the opportunity to walk on the ramparts with its breathtaking views. And one fun fact about the ramparts, which were added sometime during the 17th century, was it was designed in a shape which made it impossible to be surprised during an attack because it has no blind spots. The fort is a rare mixture of medieval and modern.
Cool. All right, so here's a close-up of the lighthouse at Fort Dubuque. Light was established in 1840, 98 feet tall, and again, Fort Dubuque. I think you said, Wanda, it dates back from the 13th century. So this is, you know, we have history in this country, but it's like it's not really history compared to a place like this. All right, so this is also on day 3, June 7th. We're traveling to see this Saint-Gervais Lighthouse, which is a fairly modern tower, 148-foot concrete tower from 1978.
Very odd looking.
It is. That top reminds me like might be like a air traffic control tower or something, but I've seen a few modern lighthouses that look sort of like this. All right, so Wanda, you want to?
So we'll be traveling through an area known as the Camargue, which is a rather mysterious region between Marseille and Montpellier. It's famous for its salt, wild white horses, black bulls, pink flamingos, it's quite colorful, and over 400 species of birds in its marshes and estuaries. This is actually the largest river delta in Western Europe. And these marshes are also notorious for some of the most ferocious mosquitoes to be found anywhere in France. So note to self, pack some insect repellent.
They can't be worse than Maine. The Maine state Maine state bird is mosquitoes, so
that's true.
I'll be prepared. But I'll just mention as far as the Camargue goes, my cousin Lorraine Rawls lives in Oregon, who was a successful country singer among other things, but she is an expert on this region and the Guardian, the cowboys, who for generations have lived in Camargue and trained these horses, the Camargue horses, and the bulls and all that. And she wrote a book and did a documentary on that. She leads occasional tours to this area. If anybody's interested, you can find information at wildprovence.com, wild, Provence.com, or just search for Lorraine Rawls, Rawls. But she does great work. All right, so we are going to be at this hotel for a couple of nights, Wanda.
Yes, and Montpellier is our next destination, and it's famous for its vibrant city center, its rich history dating back to the Middle Ages, and its outstanding architecture. It is a major university town with a lively cultural scene. A fun fact about Montpellier is the University of Montpellier was established in 1220. And it's one of the oldest universities in the world, and it boasts the oldest continuously operating medical school. 1220, isn't that amazing?
Wow, I thought colleges like Harvard were old.
Really?
Yeah. By the way, here in New England, we have Montpelier. They just call it Montpelier, Vermont. It's the capital of Vermont, so spelled slightly differently. But,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, our destination on Sunday is Le Gros du Roi, and it's a charming little seaside resort town and a working fishing port on the Mediterranean coast. It's entirely surrounded by water with miles of sandy beaches and the clear turquoise water of the Mediterranean on one side and the salt marshes of Marg on the other. The town center is actually divided by a canal, and its narrow streets are full of markets and shops and restaurants with picturesque facades. Red rice is a popular product here, and it containing lots of healthy antioxidants, and it makes an excellent souvenir. Also, Ernest Hemingway used Le Gros du Roi as the setting for his novel, The Garden of Eden, and he actually honeymooned here.
Interesting. So here, this lighthouse is known by a couple of different names: the Gros du Roi, or Maison du Fer, House of Lighthouse. That's or House of Light, I guess. which is very clever name. But this was built in 1829. It was only active for about 40 years, 62-foot stone tower on the west jetty of the entrance to a canal there. The lighthouse was replaced by the Phare de l'Espiguette, the next one we're going to see. But you can see this lighthouse has been beautifully preserved. We're also going to see a couple of jetty lights on our way to Port Camargue. I'm not going to mention every one of the sort of minor jetty lights we'll be seeing, so there'll be a few more than what you're seeing tonight.
Jeremy, we had a question about how many of these are climbable.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. In fact, this is the first one we're climbing. When we get to the ones we're climbing, I'm going to say so. And so it's good. That was good timing on that, because this is actually the first lighthouse we're climbing on the tour. So I will. I don't know the total number, but maybe you can keep score. But I figured out how many steps in all. I'm going to say that at the end. I counted up the steps, but I'm not sure the number of lighthouses we're climbing, but it's a bunch. So anyway, this Phare l'Espiguette there's also a museum here, 1869, 89-foot stone tower. Sediment from the Rhone River is accumulating here. The lighthouse was actually built about 500 feet from the sea, but because of the accumulating sediment, it's now more than a half mile from the water. And this was restored beautifully a couple of years ago.
This is one of the shortest ones we'll climb, Jeremy.
Yeah.
It only has 111 steps.
That's right. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, 111, which is, you'll see, nothing compared to some of them. But I call it a kind of a medium-sized lighthouse. All right. So we're up to day 5, June 9th. We're going to be in the Cap d'Agde area, if I'm pronouncing that right. And this is the Phare Saint Louis. And we're climbing this one, a little bit taller, 126 steps. From 1948, but the light here was established in 1684. This one's 112 feet. And the first lighthouse here back in 1684 was the first French lighthouse with a glass enclosed. I'm sorry, I take that back. Wasn't quite right what I just said. The third lighthouse here, 1771, was the first French lighthouse with a glass enclosed lantern. Kind of a modern style lantern back in 1771. The 1861 lighthouse here was destroyed during World War II, and this lighthouse is a copy of the one that was destroyed in the war. And then we're going to do a cruise to see a couple of lighthouses there, a short cruise. We're going to see this breakwater light, and then Fort Brassus. I don't know if Wanda, if you had anything to add about the fort, but I can say a bit about the lighthouse. Anything else you want to say about the fort, Wanda?
No, I don't know too much about that fort.
Okay. Well, the lighthouse here is from 1836, inactive since 1901, 30-foot stone tower. This is another fortified island that also served as a prison, just like the last couple we saw.
I guess it was handy to put the prisons out there on those islands, because then you couldn't escape.
Yeah, well, I grew up around the Boston area, and we have Fort Warren in Boston Harbor that was a prison in the Civil War. And then, of course, you have Alcatraz, the most famous prison in America, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. So islands are a fairly common place to put prisons. So this is Carcassonne.
On to Carcassonne. Carcassonne is quite a city. It's a medieval city, and it's known for its stunning fortified walls and imposing citadel that just kind of sits up on top of the hill and dominates the whole city. The city's preserved fortifications are among the most extensive in Europe, and they offer visitors a glimpse into the Middle Ages. We can step back in time and immerse ourselves in 2,500 years of history in this charming city. You know, I just celebrated a birthday, and I'd actually kind of like to step back in time myself just a little bit. But we're going to get to tour Carcassonne Castle, which is a masterpiece of medieval architecture. The castle's double ring of ramparts and 52 towers were designed to withstand any siege. The inner castle, or Chateau Comtal, is the oldest part of Carcassonne. The Chateau Comtal is built in the Romanesque style, and it features a keep, a chapel, and a great hall. The ramparts are one of its most impressive features, and a walk along the top of the walls offers panoramic views of the city and the surrounding countryside. After our tour of the castle, we have a free day to explore. You might want to spend more time within the fortified city, where you can explore on foot, in a horse-drawn carriage, or on a little train. Also inside the castle is the Basilica of Saint Nazaire, which is a beautiful cathedral. The basilica is one of the most important religious buildings in the region. It's renowned for having the most beautiful stained glass windows in southern France. It's also known for its striking gargoyles, featuring numerous gargoyles and grotesques, which are part of its Gothic architectural style. These decorative gargoyles serve as drainage spouts, but they were also believed to ward off evil spirits and symbolize the potential for good to triumph over evil. And speaking of gargoyles and grotesques, Jeremy, do you know the difference?
I'm not sure if I should take that personally. Speaking of gargoyles, do I know the difference between gargoyles and grotesques? No, I don't. What is the difference?
Well, a gargoyle is always a rain spout. And a grotesque is similar, but it is not. It has nothing to do with water.
Uh-huh. Do you know we have at least two American lighthouses that I know, both in Maine, that have gargoyle downspouts?
Pensacola has gargoyle downspouts. They're eagle heads, and they're pretty amazing.
Uh-huh. West Quoddy Head at the easternmost point of the U.S. in Maine has gargoyle downspouts, and Petite Manan Lighthouse in Maine did. They're not on there now. So anyway, little interesting factoid. But the stained glass is absolutely incredible here. Wow.
Yes, it's supposed to be the most beautiful in the south of France.
Could be some of the most beautiful anywhere.
Definitely, I think, be worth seeing.
Yeah. So 2 nights at this hotel in Carcassonne. I don't know if you want to add anything about that, Wanda.
It was kind of cool because it looks like maybe we can see the part of the castle up on the hill from the hotel.
It sure does. Yeah, that's why I included that picture. You can relax at the pool and look at the castle. All right, so then we move on to Biarritz.
So Biarritz is our next stop, and once we get to Biarritz, we've actually crossed over, and we're now on the Atlantic side. So here in Biarritz, we have a whole entire free day. So Biarritz is an elegant seaside town that's been a popular resort since European royalty began visiting in the 800s. Get ready for society royalty, you Biarritzians. And for all you surfer dudes and dudettes, Biarritz is considered the surf capital of Europe, with long sandy beaches and constant waves of all varying sizes. There's a plethora of surf schools and surf-related businesses here for both seasoned surfers and newcomers alike. So since we have an entire free day to enjoy here, be sure to pack your surfing duds if you'd like to hang 10 or maybe just learn how to surf. Just make sure you don't get sunburns. Another don't miss attraction here is called the Rock of the Virgin, which is one of the city's most iconic landmarks. This rocky outcrop juts out into the ocean and is crowned with a statue of the Virgin Mary. One of the fun facts about Biarritz is the legend associated with this site. It's said that a group of fishermen were caught in a terrible storm, and as they prayed for help, a bright light guided them safely back to shore. In gratitude, they placed the statue on the rock. But you know, I rather think that that bright light guiding them to safety was probably the lighthouse. And for those with a sweet tooth, Biarritz has a long history with chocolate. Basque sailors were among the first Europeans to bring cocoa back from the New World, and by the 17th century, Biarritz became home to some of the finest chocolatiers known for their chocolate-making expertise. If you love chocolate, and who doesn't love chocolate, be sure to stop in for a visit at some of the local chocolate shops, and their hot chocolate is reputed to be rich, very thick, and utterly indulgent. Some of the other must-see spots here is the Hotel du Palais, which is one of the most elegant and historic landmarks in the town. It was originally built by Empress Eugenie, and it's like stepping back in time to the golden age of European aristocracy. And for all you casino lovers, there's an historic casino located right on the beachfront in an elegant Art Deco building where you can try your luck at various games or maybe simply enjoy a drink with a view. In between the Hotel du Palais and the casino is the postcard-worthy Grande Plage, considered the main beach out of the 6 beautiful beaches here. You might just want to enjoy a long leisurely day on the beach or swimming in the ocean.
Sorry, go ahead, Wanda.
The Biarritz Aquarium and the Interactive Oceanic Museum nearby both offer insights into everything about the aquatic world if you're interested in quality aquariums. And the lively Les Halles market is the perfect place to immerse yourself in the local culture. Here you can find a variety of Basque specialties, including cheeses, seafood, fresh produce, and delicious pastries. If you're lucky, you might even catch a glimpse of a traditional Basque cooking demonstration. Or for a fun drive around town, you can catch the Petite train down at the Grande Plage for a 30-minute journey, passing by the top sites in Biarritz along with an informational audio guide. Biarritz is filled with incredible attractions that showcase its culture, history, and natural beauty. The sea, the beaches, and the cliff views are absolutely stunning. Biarritz is a unique and unforgettable destination. As they say in France, apprécier, which means enjoy. Oh, I forgot, and you might not believe this, but Biarritz is also home to a magnificent lighthouse standing a proud 240 feet. And we'll get to climb. It's 256 steps to see its glorious first order Fresnel lens that exhibits white and red sparkles. That's a rather charming term I saw repeatedly in information about the French light signatures. Leave it to the French.
Red sparkles. Neat.
Well,
yeah, you can see the lighthouse in the distance in the picture on the right here.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, I think I'll skip the surfing and go straight for the chocolate.
Well, we have the whole day, so you can actually do both.
Well, I don't think I can fit my surfboard in the overhead on the plane. So, but anyway, it looks fantastic here. So we're going to stay 3 nights at this hotel, and I called dibs on this room with the view of the lighthouse. Sorry, Wanda, but I'm taking this room.
We'll see. We'll see about that, Jeremy.
Okay. All right. And so let's see, we're in day 9 here, and we're going to Seabourg. And these 2 lighthouses are pretty unusual looking. So this Seabourg lighthouse on the left, we're climbing. It's a relatively modern lighthouse, although there was an earlier lighthouse, 1870, and this apparently was somehow altered. I'm not sure if the old one is inside the new one or exactly how they did it, but this is not 1938, 89-foot tower. We're climbing it, but I don't have a number of stairs. I don't know if you do, Wanda. This is the only one we're climbing it where I don't have a number of stairs.
I couldn't find the number of stairs either.
Yeah, I would guess around 100, being an 89-foot tower. And in both of these cases, then we're seeing this Saint Jean de Luz lighthouse, and in both cases, the lights are seen from the windows at the top of the tower, so they're kind of unusual. And then we're seeing the very famous Pointe Saint-Martin, or Biarritz lighthouse that Wanda, you were just referring to. And we are climbing it, and as you said, 256 steps. This dates from 1834, and there's a few lighthouses in France like this where it's mounted on top of the keeper's house. In this case, it's a octagonal keeper's house, which is kind of unusual. And there's still a large, I believe, first order clamshell lens in this lighthouse. And Wanda, you were saying you had read something like 27, there's 27 first order lenses in France. I haven't looked up the number, but I know it's a lot.
Yes, this is one of France's 28 lighthouses of the first order.
28, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So yeah, that's pretty good. We were talking about this the other day when we were talking about first order lenses still working. And here in the United States, we have 13, and proud to say that the Pensacola Lighthouse is one of the 13, but that they still keep their Fresnel lenses working, I think is just is incredible. It's really, really, really incredible.
Yeah. Overall, they definitely have more big lenses in Europe than we do have left here. A lot of ours are at least in museums. So let's see, moving on here. Oh, I was just going to mention, you already mentioned the gargoyles on the Biarritz Lighthouse, right? So that's something to look for when we climb it. 12 lion's heads. That is what you were talking about when we talked about the gargoyles.
No, that was a basilica.
Oh, right. Of course. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, let me go back for a second here. This lighthouse, I can't see him in the picture, but according to what I read, the dome is decorated with 12 bronze lion's heads that serve as gargoyles or downspouts, drain spouts as well. So I'll have to look for that when we climb it.
Yeah.
So the next day we're going to Conti Lighthouse. And it may look familiar to a lot of American lighthouse fans because it looks very much like a couple of famous lighthouses in this country. This one was built in 1863. It's a 164-foot tower, and we are climbing it, and there are 184 steps. And it's the only lighthouse in France that has this spiral barber pole style day mark, this stripe. As I'm sure a lot of you know, there are two lighthouses in the U.S., two very famous ones at Cape Hatteras and St. Augustine that are similar to this. And as far as what I've been able to gather, the only three lighthouses with this day mark, this paint scheme in the world. The lighthouse here.
Here's a little trivia question. Does anybody know what the difference is between St. Augustine and Cape Hatteras? The way you can look at them and tell.
Does anybody, they can digitally raise their hand if they want, or they can put in the chat. They can answer in the chat. I'm sure somebody knows.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. St. Augustine has a red top.
Yep.
Cape Hatteras does not. It's black.
Right.
Gary Martin said the color of the lantern room.
There you go. I knew somebody.
Right, good. Yeah. Cool.
Good going, Gary. You win the satisfaction of knowing you knew the answer. All right. So the lighthouse that predated this one was damaged. Actually, it was this tower. It was damaged in World War II, and the original lantern was destroyed and had to be replaced. This keeper's house is still occupied by not an official keeper, but there's a caretaker here, and there is a small museum, as I understand it, that I think we'll also be seeing when we're here. And just a little bit more on the Conti Lighthouse. We're going to be seeing a lot of beautiful stairways on this trip, and there's an example. From what I've seen from photos of French lighthouses, the interiors are often beautiful, ornate. They put a lot of care into building these things. And you see the other two lighthouses, the cousins of the Conti Lighthouse there, Cape Hatteras and St. Augustine. This is from the official website for the lighthouse. And then we'll be at the Hotel L'Abbaye, d'Arcachon for 2 nights.
Yeah, so we'll be spending 2 nights in the seaside resort of Arcachon, which is crowned by Europe's largest sand dune. It's the gigantic Dune de Pilat. Hopefully, we'll get a look at it when we climb the lighthouse. We'll also have a bit of free time both afternoons that we're here. And this entire region is dotted with small oyster ports, charming villages, and beautiful seaside resorts. The Bay of Arcachon is famous for its oyster farming. Some of the sights include the beautiful houses on the seafront, an old-fashioned carousel and Ferris wheel, a bustling port with charming shops, a large Gothic-style basilica which houses a sailor's chapel, and, of course, sandy beaches. The town is neatly divided into 4 quarters, which are named after the seasons. The neighborhood of Wintertown is the grandest, most beautiful part of town with lush vegetation and splendid 19th century villas. Summertown is the city center with walkways and restaurants and bars and boutiques. The autumn city is the port and fishing area, while Springtown offers the most beautiful beaches. Each season offers something completely different here in Arcachon.
Okay. Okay, so then we're going to Cap Ferret, and as far as I know, I'm not sure where the name comes from. I don't think we're going to see any wild ferrets here, as far as I know, but
No, Jeremy,
I
there
could
are
be
no.
wrong. I'm hoping there might be. That would be fun.
Well, we take a 30-minute ferry ride across the Bay of Arcachon to Lege Cap Ferret, which is famous for its lighthouse and its oyster farming. And speaking of its lighthouse, this is one we'll have the opportunity to climb all 258 steps.
Yep.
Lege Cap Ferret is a magical place that has a lot to offer. From the market square, everything is within walking distance. Beaches, markets, small shops, simply delicious ice creams, cafes, and long, wonderful afternoons where time doesn't exist unless you're on a society tour and we have a schedule to keep. So, yep, no, Jeremy, I looked and I didn't find any information on a single ferret.
Oh, well, I once saw a ferret when I was visiting a lighthouse, Palm Rocks in Rhode Island. My wife and I were walking along the bicycle path there to look at the lighthouse, and a woman let her pet her ferret. So that was probably 30 years ago, and I haven't seen a ferret at a lighthouse since. So I was hoping it might be here. Anyway, so as you said, 258 steps, established in 1840. This is another one where the earlier tower was dynamited by German troops in August 1944, and this was rebuilt after the war. And there's a museum here as well, which I believe we will be visiting, small museum. And a view from the top. I just thought I'd throw this in. What a beautiful view from their official website here. And next on the next.
Also supposed to be a really nice gift shop there too. So.
Yeah, you know, I haven't been mentioning that, but most places that have museums will also have a gift shop, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of.
It was funny. I saw a little. I saw a little quote that they use about their gift shop. It says, "Created and selected for you, the products of the stationery, tableware, children's universe, bookstore, or sweet and savory delicacies will seduce you. Whether you are looking for small gifts, fun objects, or souvenirs with a nice design, you will find your happiness there. The passage through the lighthouse shop has become a must."
Exit through the gift shop, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, they do that on purpose.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the next day, right? Day 12. Phare de Richard, or Pointe de Richard. We're climbing this one. This you get a chance to rest while you climb this one because it's only 63 steps. I think it's the shortest lighthouse we're climbing. And this one is from 1845. It was only active as a light for about 25 years, 52-foot stone tower. It's a prominent point on the Gironde estuary. And for years before there was a lighthouse here, it was marked by a giant poplar tree that was quite famous, but the tree was knocked over in a storm and they had to build a lighthouse to replace it. This went into private ownership, and then it was abandoned for many years. It was in horrible condition. A group of local teenagers launched a restoration effort, and a preservation group was organized, and it's been nicely renovated. And there is a small, looking at the building, it has to be small, museum here as well. And another picture, I just thought the grounds look really nice there. And then, speaking of museums, we are going to the Musée du Phare de Cardouin and des Phares et Balises. In other words, the Museum of Cardouin Lighthouse and lighthouses and beacons. And so it's a fantastic museum. I'm really looking forward to seeing. There's also the Pointe de Grave Lighthouse here as well. And Wanda, I didn't see in any notes whether I would think we're climbing this because I think it is open to us.
Well, it wasn't in any of our notes, but and I talked to Marjorie about this afternoon. We're going to see if we can't take a little bit later ferry. And
Yeah, so that's all arranged.
oh, good.
Yes, and it was already planned. The tour company said these people are very excited about our group coming. Yes, we'll be climbing it.
Yeah. So we're here for a couple of nights in Royan.
Yes, and Royan is the most 50s seaside resort in France, and it's famous for its long sandy beaches. Imagine that. One thing about Royan is almost 85% of the city was destroyed by Allied bombing during World War II, and the city suffered heavy bombardment by over 1,000 planes, with the result that the city was razed and 1,500 civilians were killed. And because of the subsequent rebuilding, the city has many faces with distinct styles of architecture that both clash and complement each other's. And it's from Royan's port that our Cordovan adventure begins.
Okay, and whoops. Speaking of that, here we are at, I'll tell you, personally, this lighthouse is the very top of my bucket list. So this is going to be absolutely fantastic to see this. Fastnet was at the top of my bucket list too, and we got to see that in the Ireland tour a couple of years ago. So, but this is one of the world's great lighthouses, one of the most famous lighthouses in the world. And the oldest lighthouse in France, built, well, originally the lower part of it built in 1611. And remodeled in 1788. So the lower part, the base, that ornate base is from 1611, but the tower on top of that was built in 1788. When I get back, when I stop sharing my screen, you'll see the drawing of the original Cordovan lighthouse behind me, but as my background. Anyway, so this, again, one of the oldest lighthouses, and it is the oldest lighthouse in France and one of the most famous lighthouses in the world. It's known as the King of Lighthouses and the Lighthouse of Kings. And I'm going to play you a little video. This is only a couple of minutes long, but I think it really sets the scene beautifully. So let me go ahead and play this for you. Might be a little soft. You have to crank up your volume a little.
Rising up from the middle of the sandbanks is a colossal tower of stones. The Cordovan Lighthouse has stood proud in the Gironde estuary for 400 years. It's a real architectural feat out at sea.
It's great. We have the silhouette on the horizon. It's just beautiful.
It has withstood all kinds of storms, so we feel protected when we get here.
Cordovan is the oldest operational lighthouse in France, and it's the last one to be in use all year round.
We always have 2 keepers at the lighthouse, and there's a team back on shore.
At low tide, tourists are able to come and visit this spectacular beacon.
200 years after its construction, Louis XVI ordered the lighthouse to be raised from 37 to 67 meters.
Nicknamed the King of the Lighthouses and the Lighthouse of the Kings, Cordovan was built and elegantly fitted out for a monarch who would never stay here. Above the royal bedroom sits this chapel, and even higher up comes the lighthouse's main treasure, its breathtaking views.
We feel a bit like kings today. Out at sea like this, it's exceptional. I'm speechless. It's really beautiful.
As the tide rolls back over the sandbanks, it's time to close the doors. The 2 keepers, Thomas and Lionel, are now all alone inside. The lighthouse is their second home, one with its own way of life.
It's all calm now.
The lighthouse's main purpose is, of course, to warn vessels about hazardous rocks nearby. For more than 15 centuries, a light has alerted boats to the danger.
It was run by the abbey at Vaux-sur-Mer. There were Benedictine monks who came here in hermitage to keep a fire burning.
Cordovan has been a listed monument since 1862.
It's the sea that lulls us to sleep at night. It's the sun that wakes us up in the morning. We live with the moon because it pushes back the tides. To work on a lighthouse is great.
Thomas and Lionel are protected from any storm in their kitchen. Their food is simple and often stale.
We eat fresh bread on a Friday.
Yes, on Friday. And when there are visits early in the morning.
Yes, because the guys from the ferries are kind and sometimes bring us baguettes and croissants.
Okay. And by the way, that reminded me, seeing the baguettes there, reminded me that Jeff Gales, our director, when he found out he wasn't going to be able to be here tonight, he told me a couple interesting little facts about France. And one of them is that if you put a baguette on the table upside down, it's bad luck. So remember, don't do that.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, I know. That's what I told him. Obviously, as you saw in the video, there are still resident keepers here. It's the only lighthouse in France that still has resident keepers, but they're only out there in the summer, and they help to give tours. We haven't mentioned we're actually taking a boat to get to the Cordouan Lighthouse, and we are climbing it. At least, nobody's forced to climb the lighthouses, but if you want to, it's 301 steps. I plan to climb every step of every lighthouse on this tour. At least I say that now. We'll see, but I'm going to absolutely do my best. So you see this, it's a page from their website there. That's from the USLHS Keeper's Log, from an article on Cordouan Lighthouse on the left there. And on the right is our illustrious founder of the U.S. Lighthouse Society, Wayne Wheeler, who founded the society 40 years ago, with his lovely wife, Sally. And I'm sure some of you heard the bad news that Sally sadly passed away just a couple of days ago. And we all loved her. She was wonderful. So we're going to miss her. But I interviewed both Wayne and Sally for my podcast, Lighthearted, that I do for the Society last year when I was out in Washington. He was out there also. They lived in North Carolina, but they were out for the board meeting out in Washington. I interviewed them in their hotel room. And I asked Wayne, when I interviewed him, what is your favorite lighthouse? So let me play you his answer. I'm going to play you a sound clip. Is the answer to what is his favorite lighthouse. And get it to play.
My favorite lighthouse is the Cordouan in France. That lighthouse, which has a chapel in it, stained glass windows, very historic. As a matter of fact, the French have something like we have, which is the National Register. And the Cordouan Lighthouse is #1 in their register. So it has a lot of history. And the first Fresnel lens was in there. Yeah. It has a first order now in there. It has the original was built up later, much taller tower. It has absolutely gorgeous keepers bedroom for the men on duty at the top, all done in walnut and stuff. The size of it, the location, the architecture, it's just the best.
Okay, well that I think sums it up pretty well. So I'm really looking forward to it. So we are also on that day going to get a photo op of this lighthouse, the Terre Negra Lighthouse. And then we're going to the Valliere Lighthouse, not far from there. And this one, we're climbing 144 steps, kind of a medium-sized one, from 1901. It's 95 feet tall, and it's made of what they call blue granite. I guess it does look a little sort of bluish. This was the rear light of a range guiding ships into the port of Royan over the Gironde estuary. Some of the grounds are off limits because actually the cliff is kind of crumbling away, but the lighthouse is on safe ground. This lighthouse escaped destruction during the bombings, which Wanda, you were talking about, that kind of pretty much crushed Rayon in 1945. This lighthouse survived, but the north facade, they say, is still marked with the impact of shells. And here's I just thought this was a really nice aerial picture from the website for the lighthouse. And then the next day, we're up to day 14. We're just in our last couple of days here, June 18th. We're going to climb the La Coubre Lighthouse, 300 steps, built in 1905, established in 1830, 210-foot concrete tower, so a relatively modern kind of lighthouse. and there's a lot of erosion here on the beach, but I guess the lighthouse is in good shape, although the earlier lighthouse had to be abandoned because it was about to fall into the sea. And when this lighthouse was built a mile in from the shore, shortly after that, the earlier lighthouse collapsed into the surf. The erosion has now brought the shore to within 650 feet of the lighthouse. After being built a mile away from the water, it's now only 650 feet away. So the ground is eroding fast, and it may have to be moved at some point, which would be comparable to the move of Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in this country. It's even taller than Cape Hatteras.
This one I also saw too, that La Coubre kind of pairs or it signals with Cordouan, and both of them serve to mark the entrance to the Gironde estuary.
Okay, so they act sort of as a range.
I think probably not so much a range, maybe as like side by side markers, one on either side.
Okay, yeah. And then we go to the Chasseron Lighthouse, and we're climbing this one too, 224 steps. So I was looking at, there are 2 days in a row where we're climbing really tall lighthouses, and it's just about 1,000 steps up these lighthouses in 2 days. So I'm starting to go to the gym more these days in preparation for this. So we'll see. I'm determined to climb every single step. So this is the Chasseron Lighthouse, 1836. Actually, first light here, 1685. 164-foot stone tower on the top of that round keeper's house. I find that really interesting. And the first lighthouse here was a tower, 1684 or 85, 1685 was a simple tower with two open fires, one above the other, if you can call that a lighthouse. I guess you can. This lighthouse still has a historic hexagonal Fresnel lens, one of the oldest first-order lenses still in use. So look forward to seeing that. And I love this aerial picture of the Chasseron Lighthouse showing the garden in kind of a compass rose pattern there.
And there's also a semaphore tower there by the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
That was used during the Second World War. The Germans installed a Marine surveillance station there, and a shooting guidance outpost, which is kind of scary. So they were able to watch a lot of the coastline from that location.
Mm-hmm. So this is a hotel we'll be at for 3 nights.
So yeah, our last stop, this is actually our last stop in the south of France, at La Rochelle. And they say that La Rochelle was born from the sea, and it's known as the 1,000-year-old city. The only thing really that saved La Rochelle, because they were next to be bombed after Royan, was actually the armistice was signed. And so that spared La Rochelle from probably being destroyed, the same as the people in Royan. But if you were to look up urban ecology, the definition would be La Rochelle. Since the beginning of the 70s, the city stands out for its exceptional quality of city life, favoring renewable energy, valuing natural areas, preserving the landscape, protecting biodiversity, and encouraging sustainable mobility. Fun fact about La Rochelle is the marina there boasts 4,800 moorings and now ranks among the largest marinas in the world. That's a lot of sailboat masts.
Yeah, there's a few of them in this picture. Okay, and we are visiting Les Baleines Lighthouse. A lot of you probably would immediately recognize the word baleine, of course, like baleen whales. It means the whales, and I guess there are, I don't know if we'll see any whales, but they're near here, I guess. And this is another really tall tower, 174 feet tall. Excuse me. And we are climbing at 257 steps. This one was built in 1854, and it's limestone, so that makes it kind of unusual. There aren't a whole lot of limestone lighthouses. And again, it rises from the keeper's house. And this has a first-order Fresnel lens still in use, and it has a museum and shop, so there's a lot to see here. And this is considered a very important lighthouse, and it's really one of the best known lighthouses in France, one of the most visited ones. And again, it's at the Point de Belen, the Point of Wales.
So actually, that's we kind of have a bonus light there too, because the tall lighthouse was established in 1854, but the original lighthouse was established in 1682, and they call it the Old Tower.
There it is. You see it in this picture here from their website. Yeah, so you get the old and the new. And that's kind of unusual in France, and I've noticed in the UK and Ireland, there's a number of cases, probably other European countries, where old lighthouses were left standing. There's a few cases like that in the US, but not so many. But it's fairly common over there. And then we're going to get a photo op of this, I guess you can call it a lighthouse, Chanchardon. And then another photo op of the Saint Martin de Ré lighthouse. And another photo op of the Pointe de Chavaux. Then we move on to this really interesting structure on the next day, Butte du Monde. And this, it looks like from a storybook or something, but it's actually a replica of the Lighthouse at the End of the World. The name means End of the World. It's a replica of the lighthouse in Patagonia, Tierra del Fuego, Argentina, and very famous lighthouse, made famous by Jules Verne novel, Lighthouse at the End of the World. And this replica was built in France in 2000, in the year 2000. So
I just ordered that book, so I'm looking forward to reading it.
Well, I don't think I ever read that one. I've seen the movie with Kirk Douglas, which is kind of a strange movie. I think you can see it on YouTube. But and Yul Brynner is the bad guy.
Well, there's something about the Lighthouse movies that they make. They just, it seems like everyone that you see, they're really dark. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know if how deeply you want to get into that, but there's been some good ones, but this is an odd one, but we're kind of worth checking out, Lighthouse at the End of the World. But this is just so cool that this was built there. And I know there's a story behind the building of it. I don't have it at my fingertips, but somebody seemed to have been obsessed with that lighthouse in Argentina, decided to build a replica there. Then we're going to see this in the old port harbor of New Rochelle, the Phare Vert de Quai Valin. And right near it, as you can see here, because you can see both lighthouses in this picture, is the La Rochelle Feu Intérieur lighthouse, which is also known as the Phare Rouge, the red lighthouse, although it's only partly red, but I guess it is known locally as the Phare Rouge. And that afternoon, we're doing a short cruise to see this fort, which I think is really interesting looking, Fort Boyard. And that is not a lighthouse, as I understand it, on the fort. It may have a light in it, I'm not sure, but I think it was built as a lookout tower. But I don't think it's an official lighthouse. And Wanda,
I guess they were looking to see if any of the people jumped out of the windows.
Maybe that was it. But look, this, I don't have the information in front of me, but I would guess that this is probably used as a prison too. It sure looks like it should be a prison. Looks pretty foreboding, that's for sure.
Really?
And then you have the Ile d'Aix light, I believe that's how it's pronounced. And established in 1821, the lighthouse on the right, 56-foot tower. And in 1906, they built basically a twin tower next to it. The new tower, as you see, has no lantern. It does have a small light that produces a red sector for vessels coming in to the port, and I guess maybe it's warning vessels to stay in the main channel. But anyway, so kind of an interesting pair of almost twin lights there.
And that's our last one of the trip.
It is, and then we take a train.
So
yeah.
Yes, finally, to top off an amazing and unforgettable tour is Gay Paris. After a relaxing train ride, we'll enjoy a panoramic tour of the city, and many of its famous landmarks on the way to our final hotel and farewell dinner. Bon voyage.
Yeah, a little get us back in the mood as we tour Gay Paris. And that's the hotel we're staying at the last night of the tour and have our farewell dinner here. All right. See our route again. And I hate to stop this beautiful music, but I'm going to come out of screen sharing. All right. And we're back. And when I do this type of thing, I'm always relieved because when you're, doing a Zoom event like this and doing a presentation, you don't see anybody while you're talking. So I'm always relieved there's still people here, and you mostly look awake. So thank you for your attention. And I'm going to open up the chat. And Wanda and Margie, I don't know if you've seen any questions in the chat.
To Cordovan is fantastic. I don't know if you've been there already, but
nope.
The ride, either from Royan or from Point Grave, is something because usually there is a lot of wind and the sea is quite choppy.
Yeah.
So the boats you really get wet on those boats unless you are inside the cabin.
Okay.
And the landing is usually a wet landing you have to do. So you have to be prepared for that. A wet landing, you have to take your shoes off or have water shoes.
Yeah. Does it have to be low tide?
They get there when the tide is almost low. It's a little bit a few minutes before low tide, because the tide actually comes in very fast. So you have to have time to go into the lighthouse, climb to the top. It's worth it. The view is beautiful. And then you actually see the sandbanks start to be above the water line. But when you get down from the tower, when you start walking towards the sandbanks where the boats will be waiting for you, the tide actually starts to go up again. So one has to be very, very aware of timing in order not to have trouble getting back to the boats. The boats don't actually pick you up at the same point where they leave you off. They pick you up in the sandbanks, and really walking on the sandbanks is something beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Sure. But you see the water coming in though, very fast.
Okay. Reminds me of the Bay of Fundy.
The tour company made it very plain to us that you have to be prepared with the right clothing, the right shoes to go to this lighthouse because it is a wet landing. And there's rocks that you have to go on as well. I mean, it's not a nice, smooth paved road to that lighthouse. So thank you, Eduardo, for your comment.
Sure.
Yes, very, very helpful.
I'm sorry I'm not going on the trip with you guys.
Yeah.
But I'm dreaming about it. And
well, obviously,
at the last moment, I win the lottery and I call Jeremy and say, help, get me in the tour.
Yeah. Well, I hope that happens. But this has only been my first time in France. And this, like I said, Cordovan, it's like a dream to think that I'll actually get to visit there. So can't say how much I'm looking forward to it. Somebody asked earlier, and it made me realize, Wanda, they asked, how are we getting from place to place? We never actually said that it's a motor coach tour. So it's going to be a fairly small group. I believe we have, what is it, about 16 people, something like that at this point? Is that about right, Margie?
Yes, that's correct. 16 people as of now. And it's we're going at the most prime time for France tourism, because June is pretty mellow compared to the hot summers of France. So it's very nice that we chose this time of the year to go.
Yeah, almost 6 weeks from tomorrow, I think, or Thursday.
Yeah, around the corner. Yeah.
6 weeks. I can't believe it.
Well, it's like here too. I think we're doing a Cape Cod tour in September. That's a good time to go. But June is also a good time in New England because the the heart of the tourist season, of course, is July and August, but June and September are good, real good months to travel. So let's see if we have any other questions. I didn't really see any in the chat. If anybody had any questions that I'm missing, please ask again. We'll see it come up in the chat.
Well, while we're looking at that, or while waiting for those comments, I'm going to cover the tours that we have left this year besides France. We have the next one is Lake Superior North, which you get to see Split Rock on that tour. And it goes into Canada, and you get to see a lot of lighthouses in North Superior Lake that a lot of people just don't get to see. We have one room available on that tour. The next one after that is Cape Cod. Jeremy kind of mentioned that. Very fabulous tour plan, and we have one room left on that. And then we have Florida Atlantic Coast, where you're going to see a lot of those beautiful Atlantic Coast lighthouses, and a tour Cape Kennedy Space Center, and a tour of Cape Canaveral Base, and you get to climb Cape Canaveral Lighthouse. So it's we've got like 3 rooms available for that. So if you're considering it, now's the time to join up.
Sounds good. And
I do have a little tease to give you for 2026 for those people that are interested. We are going to do an Alaska cruise. So I would plan that in sometime in June. We're going to do an Upper Michigan tour. We're going to be doing for international Argentina and Uruguay and Brazil together. We're going to do a Norway tour and an England tour. So, and then we're also going to try to throw in another main tour, because we haven't done one in a while, but we'll see how that goes.
Did you say Norway and England?
Yes, I did. So that's what's planned right now, and these tours are being developed. And so we don't have firm dates yet, but as soon as we do, they'll be on the website.
yeah, wow, all sounds spectacular. I just I was going to mention, we said that there are about 16 people on this tour. I know there's may or may not be room, but if somebody is interested in going, they should contact you, Margie, or who should they
contact me. I will contact the tour company, but as I said, getting rooms at this point might be difficult, so don't hesitate.
Yeah, right. If you're thinking of it, do it. Maybe we can squeeze them in somebody's luggage or something, but there may still be time to get somebody in. But the contact info is on the, just go to USLHS.org, the phone number. And is your email on there, like on the tour section? I'm not sure, Margie.
I don't think it is yet.
Yeah, probably calling the office is probably the best thing to do. Yeah. I was going to mention another thing that Jeff Gales, our director, who wanted to be here tonight but couldn't, told me that there are more Michelin-starred restaurants in France than any country in Europe, and there are also more McDonald's. So I had to pass that along. I thought that was pretty cool. So I added up the stairs while the lighthouses were climbing on this trip, and it's about 2,000 total stairs. I think it might be a little more than that, because there are a couple of lighthouses I didn't know the number. So approximately 2,000 steps. 2,000 steps doesn't sound like much when you're walking on the flat Earth, but well, the Earth isn't flat, but you know what I mean. But when you're climbing stairs in a lighthouse, that's a lot of stairs. So as I said, I'm trying to prepare, trying to work myself up to that, hoping to climb every single step. What is the cost? The cost is on the website, right, Margie?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it's all on there. Go to USLHS.org and go under travel. You'll see tours. I'll take you to the tour page. Then you can look at the information, all the individual tours. So there's pricing for singles or doubles on the tour. So just you should be able to find it pretty easily at USLHS.org.
Yeah.
Wanda or Margie, anything you want to add? before we close up shop?
No, can't wait. Can't wait. It's gonna be a fantastic tour, I think.
I think so too.
We're gonna see some really beautiful things and some amazing lighthouses. I remember I was just really blown away on our first French lighthouse or France tour to France, the Brittany coast. I was just truly amazed at the care and the detail, the attention to detail that went into the insides of these lighthouses. It's just phenomenal. As many of them had this beautiful opaline, bluish green opaline tiles that the whole interior of the lighthouse would be tiled all the way up, and marble staircases and beautiful ornate handrails, sconce lighting on the inside. There, it's just truly it's truly amazing. After you've seen our of course we have beautiful lighthouses here in the United States too, but not so much on the inside, although some of the stairs, the stairways are really pretty, and a few of our lighthouses have, the bottom is fancy tiles and that kinds of things, but it just pales in comparison to the lighthouses in France. They're just truly marvelous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they look like palaces inside, a lot of them.
Cordouan
kind of literally was built in that way, but a lot of the other ones too look so beautiful. Yeah. You mentioned Brittany, and just reminded me of something. I don't want to make an official announcement, but I'm working on us having a special guest at the farewell dinner. I don't think I've even told you this, Wanda or Margie, but I'll just say that somebody who's very big in the French lighthouse photography world. I would say the #1 name. Some people might have an idea who I'm talking about, but we're hoping he'll be at the farewell dinner. So, but Wanda, we'll talk more about that later.
You did mention that the other night, Jeremy.
Oh, okay.
I'm incredibly excited about that.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to say his name because I'm not 100% sure of it, but we're working on it. So I think we're about ready to wrap it up. And again, this will be on YouTube within the next couple of days. So check it out. Go to YouTube and search for USLHS. A lot of good videos on there. And if you don't already, listen to our podcast, Lighthearted, 2 words. You can find it on the front page of the USLHS website, or through a podcast app. You can find it all kinds of ways. It's easy to find, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So thank you all for being part of this tonight. We do have a couple other more. We haven't done these in a while, but we got a couple of Zoom events in the pipeline. So watch for notifications on those. There's one meeting with some people later this week. We're hopefully going to set it up very soon. So thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, and happy spring. And we'll see you around. Okay. Keep a good light, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Wanda and Margie and Eleanor and Eduardo. Thank you all.
Au revoir.